Hi, welcome to the second episode of Kibbitzing with Kagan. We're going to have a chat with the amazing leader of the Manna Food Pantry, Jackie DeCarlo. Jackie has been at the helm for just over 7 years now and is one of the most widely respected and critically needed nonprofit leaders in Montgomery County. As some of you know, Montgomery County is often seen as super wealthy, and yet we have more children living with food insecurity in Montgomery County than anywhere else in the state. So, Jackie, tell me first off, what's a day in the life looking like for you during the pandemic?
Well, thanks a lot, Cheryl, for inviting me. It's always good to talk with you. We're staying safe and still serving. So depending on the day of the week, our staff members go out to partner agencies, different satellites, and we use drive-through distributions to have minimal contact where we are sharing food. We're up to about 4,000 families every month. Before COVID, that was 3,000, so it's quite a leap. And then if it was a Friday, the day is where we're working with MCPS to get about 7,500 bags of food to kids and their families so that they can have a good dinner and supper over the weekend. The day looks full of volunteers. It looks full of donors dropping off safely food donations to our warehouse in your district. It's a wide variety of activities, including we're doing now community education digitally. Like everybody else is, instead of in a classroom or on our Manny mobile kitchen and bus.
Yes, which is pretty extraordinary. So I remember helping support Smart Sacks when it was set up. Why don't you say more about how important it is that our children get the nourishment they need and how people can volunteer and support Smart Sacks or any of these other food pantries or drive-thrus?
Well, I think all of us, whether we're adults or kids, know that if you're starting to get hunger pangs and low blood sugar, you can't concentrate and you're not your best self. So throughout the school year, we're always working, in any time, pandemic or not, to make sure that kids have the nourishment that they need to succeed in the classroom. And we have this wonderful partnership with Montgomery County Public Schools at 58 locations. These are places where many of the kids rely on free or reduced price meals, and we send them home with a package of food that's appropriate for the whole family, because of course the kid's not the only one eating. We have newsletters that go in those bags. We have recipes. So we're trying to just help the families cook healthy and shop healthy on a budget and make sure that kids have the opportunity to learn when they get back to school on Monday, or in this case, when they log on Monday morning.
Right. You were talking about educating folks and putting other brochures and flyers. Have you also been spreading beyond hunger to include stuff like voting information, census? What other materials might you have in that bag?
Yeah, and I should say that volunteers are the ones stuffing the bags with the census information, the get out the vote. And so if people visit mannafood.org, they can click on help out and fill out a form if they want to sign up. But yeah, we really know that the fact that we touch literally tens of thousands of people every year, we want to make sure we get them critical information that addresses some of the root causes of hunger, why people are turning to us in the first place. So right now in this season, we're focused on getting out the vote. And in the last days of the census, we've had a census champion for many months, and we now are trying to just really redouble efforts to get people what they need to be counted and to use their vote at the ballot box.
So just for folks who aren't aware of how important it is that they are counted, will you just give everybody a quick snippet of why they really have to be counted on the census?
Yeah, any person who resides in Montgomery County is worth about $18,000 of federal funding. So that's funding that helps our emergency rooms. It's funding that helps keep our parks open so that we can recreate. It's funding that basically the county is able to allocate for our quality of life. And everybody who answers the census brings in those dollars, but also it means how many people we get representing us in Congress at the federal level for things like food stamp policy and the different emergency packages that have been so critical to the pandemic response. So yeah, definitely everybody counts.
So those who are watching this podcast are probably aware there's been a lot of political debate as to what the deadline should be, but don't wait. If you're watching this, make sure you go online. It'll take just a few minutes, but make sure that you are counted. Jackie, you talked about the challenges of the pandemic in terms of the increased number of families with food insecurity. What are the opportunities? What has been better for you, if that's not too weird a word to use, about being able to reach out to people or engage with people?
I would say dealing with our existing partners and deepening those relationships. So we could not do our work without the community volunteering and donating, but we also need other providers who, in this moment in particular, act as a trusted ambassador. So for instance, we're working with Identity, and they're letting folks know who may be concerned about their legal status, it's safe to go to Manna. We're working with other populations that we maybe need a gateway through their faith traditions. So we've always had those partnerships, and I won't say we'll take them for granted, but it's really renewed how we work together, and that has been a silver lining.
That's great. So I was thinking, now that we just are past or in the midst of some of the Jewish high holidays, that always used to be the time when we all came to synagogue with our bags of canned food to donate. And then obviously Thanksgiving, all the faith institutions weigh in there. What's the substitute, since faith institutions are not able to host the hundreds and thousands of congregants?
Well, we do have funds drives, not just food drives, but funds drives where people can set up something for their congregation. And we had this at Yom Kippur, actually, where a congregation would set itself a goal. And so instead of collecting a certain number of pounds of food during high holidays, they raised dollars so that we could then purchase them for wholesale. And so that's one way definitely that people can help out. And we're talking to the scouts in November. Scouting for food is a big opportunity for service, and that's going to look a lot different. But we hope to get the scouts engaged in using the social media to collect donations. So that's kind of how we're looking at it. But also people are still dropping off. We have blue bins at 9311 Gaither Road. 24/7, they're there, and once a day we empty them out. There's also a little stand where you can pick a receipt, and everybody can just fill that out, so you get the tax benefits.
That's great. From a policy perspective, and I will ask you this as a policymaker, is there some magic wand that something government could be doing to address food insecurity, to actually reduce the demand on Manna?
I think we have to be honest and transparent that many people turn to us simply because they cannot make ends meet. So the fight for 15 nationally, but also our commitment here. I mean, Manna pays a living wage, which right now is about $15.25. But that is different than the minimum wage nationally. We just have to take a look at what are the different elements that come together to make families able to provide for themselves. So decent working conditions and fair pay, supports like SNAP that allows them to be able to purchase their own food products at their local stores, which helps build the economy. So policymakers really need to make sure that we have an economy that works for everybody.
Great. Are there programs or initiatives? You mentioned the Scouting for Food and obviously Thanksgiving. Is there anything else that we should know about that Manna is working on in the coming months or year?
One of the things that I've been really proud of is that we have been able to retrofit some of our technology and programs to help people stay put. You know, this pandemic, it's really important for us to physically distance. And for folks with pre-existing conditions, for seniors, we found that we need to, in the tradition of groups like Meals on Wheels and Senior Services from JESSA and other groups, we need to get food directly to people, and we need food runners to do that. So we'll welcome people being able to use our app, and they just get a ping on their phone and says, you know, pick up at Manna and then take it to Cheryl's house. Leave it on the door, text the person, you can wave through the window, it's safe, it's very gratifying, and it helps everybody.
That's great. And they can do that at a time and a place that works for their schedule, and that's So you mentioned the warehouse that I've been to many times, and it's so beautiful and so well staffed. Manna staff is always so warm and welcoming and diligent, and then your volunteers are tremendous. Talk about your geographic reach that isn't just one person delivering up county or to the East County, because you have expanded Manna's reach and presence.
So we also have a marketplace and community center at in Silver Spring at 29 and Tech Road, and we intentionally chose that as an area that had high food insecurity and also diet-related diseases. So we serve the entire county, and thanks to our partners, we're in virtually every region. Sometimes we're directly distributing food, sometimes we're dropping it off at apartment complexes. So we are basically trying to reach everyone one way or the other. But the marketplace is our new kind of flagship, and we welcome, as soon as it's safe to do so, we're welcoming people back to it. And it has a marketplace where we hope someday in the not too distant future, people will once again be able to shop for their food for free, but choose it based on their household, their culture, their religion, and their health needs.
Right. Manna always worked and partnered with the grocery stores and supermarkets, and they are some of the small segment of our economy that's actually flourishing now, because since we're not going out to restaurants every night and eating in restaurants, we are doing more shopping and cooking. So I'm wondering, have the Giants and the Safeways and the Dawsons and the Mom's Organic Market and the Costco's and everyone stepped up their giving? Have any of them stepped in a new way and enhanced their donations? And you can either use their names or not, whatever's appropriate.
Yeah, well, definitely the food service industry, in the thick of it, when there was the stay-at-home orders, those organizations did not want food to go to waste, particularly the restaurant industry. So we were getting lots of donations, and the freezer that you helped us get through state bond money kept that food safe. But it's true, the supply chain has been very impacted. And while you and I and others are going to the grocery store in new ways, those folks don't have the excess, the surplus as much. However, I can say that we know we have longstanding relationships with those supermarkets and those producers and farmers markets. Our farmers are there for us. So each segment of the industry is a little bit different, but everyone is ready to help in the ways that they can.
That's great. So I want to start to begin the wrapping up. Before I do that, is there anything that I have not asked you that's important to Manna or important to the community that you want to share here?
Yeah, I think that we can't miss an opportunity to say that the pandemic has been a public health crisis. The economic recession is going to be with us for a long time, but we've also are in a moment of racial reckoning. And Manna has been on a journey with our staff. We are as beautiful as the county. We have every race and we have every gender, and we are really committed to a place of belonging. And so we are going to continue our work with justice and equity, diversity and inclusion. And we can do that with the public. We have something once a month called Breaking Bread, which is a virtual potluck. It's the third Wednesday every month. And sorry, something just dropped. I must have hit my with enthusiasm. So come to Breaking Bread and talk about solutions to some of the reasons that our country is so fractured in our community. Phenomenal.
Jackie, third Wednesday, what time and how would somebody participate?
12 to 1:30.
Okay.
And on the Wednesdays, and it'll be listed on our website. We also have an active Facebook page and Twitter, Instagram.
I was just going to ask you to go through your social media. Why don't you go and do that now?
Okay, mannafood.org is where you can find us on the web, and we are on Facebook. At Twitter, it's at Manna Food Center, and Instagram and LinkedIn, similar handles, Manna Food Center.
Perfect. Great. So now the last thing that I do is 5 quick questions. I call it the Fast 5, so you can get to know a little bit more about Jackie DeCarlo. So, Jackie, since you're in food, first question for you is, who would you like to share a meal with, living or dead?
Oh, I always say Eleanor Roosevelt. I would love to have Eleanor Roosevelt at my table.
That's a great one. Once it's safe to do so, where would you like to travel?
Argentina is on our list.
Nice. It's great.
Good tapas there too.
Yeah. What is a headline you would love to see in the Washington Post in the next 5 years?
Wow, that's a hard one. Food and housing for all, so the community flourishes.
Love that. You are one of the most respected nonprofit leaders in the region. Who are some of the women and men in the nonprofit sector that you especially look up to?
I have been fortunate in 25 years to have so many role models and mentors, but I just last year was a member of the Leadership Montgomery core class and got to know C. Marie Taylor, and she's going on to new pathways, and I can't wait to see and learn from her as a woman of color and a woman of integrity and passion. Yeah.
Great, great. And my last question for you is, what is your secret superpower? What are you just better at than most average folks?
I'm very fortunate that I do not stay in a funk very long. I can maybe have 1 or 2 days, and then I just dust myself off and say, DeCarlo, you got a pretty good situation. Stop your whining and keep moving.
Love that. That's great. That's great. Well, Jackie DeCarlo, CEO and amazing community leader at the helm of Manna Food Pantry. Thank you for all that you do, and thank you for taking a few minutes to kibitz with me.
I liked kibitzing with you, and I'm sorry about all of the distractions, but it was a great conversation.
It's terrific. Thank you. Grateful for you. Look forward to seeing you again in person before too long.
Okay.
Take care.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye.